Bleeding Kansas was a series of violent political wars in the United States deciding whether Kansas would be a free state or a slaveholding state. The Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854 called for popular sovereignty, which meant the people would decide. This act also repealed the Missouri Compromise. This meant that Kansas and Nebraska could choose if they were a free state or a slaveholding state. This upset amount of representatives for the South and the North because if one chose the same side, it would become unequal.
Dred Scott, like many other black men at the time, was born into slavery. Later on in his life, Scott sued his master. Dred Scott wanted to sue his master because Scott was taken to free territory, yet still held as a slave. This issue was brought to the Supreme Court. It was 1857 when the Supreme Court had made their final decision. The Supreme Court ruled against him. Their reasoning as to why he lost was because Scott was not a U.S. citizen, therefore property.
Abolitionist John Brown supported violent action done in the South in an effort to end slavery. He and 19 supporters attempted to raid Harper's Ferry, Federal Arsenal, and Army. He attempted to give the weapons to the slaves so they could shoot their way to freedom, but that small revolt was stopped by a small group of Marines led by Colonel Robert E. Lee. There were casualties on both sides. 7 killed, 10 injured. John Brown and the rest of his followers were captured. John Brown tried for treason in the state of Virginia and was hung. But 5 weeks before his death, he talked to the press in jail and created lots of publicity. And his word and his cause was spread around America.
In November of 1860, Abraham Lincoln was elected President of the United States of America. His election was met by pure outrage and hate from the South. Lincoln wasn't even on the ballot in 9 southern states, which is really what upset the South because he won even without them. He ended up winning with only 108 out of 303 electoral votes. John Breckinridge was second to Lincoln, and he was one of the main leaders for the Democratic secession in the South. Many can say that this election was the straw that broke the camel's back. On December 20th of 1860, just nearly a month after Lincoln was elected, South Carolina voted at St. Andrew's Society to secede from America. In January through February of 1861, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas voted to secede from America. James Buchanan and Lincoln declared the act of seceding from America illegal.